You could say it would be hard to top the first two races of the 2024 One-Up Superstar Series season. Two races down, two first-time winners, and this season's off to a fantastic start. We've had some great moments already at Daytona and at Auto Club. We'll see what happens here in St. Louis for 60 laps around the Worldwide Technology Raceway here at Gateway Motorsports Park. This is round number 3 of the One-Up Superstar Series season. We're happy to bring you the action here today, myself and James Ellison, as per usual, to bring you the action for this race. And, well, this is going to be a pretty different racetrack from what we've seen so far this season. Not as fast as Daytona or Auto Club, but that doesn't mean the action is any less here, because you'll still see cars go several rows wide to try and make passes, especially early on.
Oh, absolutely. When you got the tires at the freshest, that's when you got to get the positions and make it work as best you can. It's when the tires start falling off, you try to make those same moves, you might end up ending your own day, or as well as taking someone else with you. So a lot of fun action to watch out for, and I love this track. It's really good for a lot of racing.
And this is the first time the One-Up Superstar Series has made the trip to St. Louis, and we hope it'll be a good one for the drivers and the fans alike. As we can now bring you the starting lineup for today's 60 laps of racing action, and the first two rows all filled with drivers that really need a good points day to kickstart their season after a couple rough weeks to start it off. Ben McDonald takes pole position alongside J.D. Martin. Jake McMillan, Miles Mashburn fill out row 2, and Roberto Crown Jr., who missed the Daytona 500 to start the season, lines up on row 3. What can he do to get his season started off in the right way? Other names to keep our eye on throughout the day: Zachary DeLello, a standout rookie this season. He starts 10th. Last week's winner, Julio Cesar, starts all the way back in 27th, although that didn't stop him from winning at Auto Club. He started 23rd there, but it's a lot harder to make moves here than at Auto Club last week.
Oh, absolutely. And if you can make those moves work and find a way up there, I guarantee it'll be worth it, no matter if you win or you can just get a top 5 or top 10.
So with that being said, we have 42 cars ready to take the green flag in St. Louis. We're ready to bring you the action for 60 times around this 1.25-mile racetrack. This is the One-Up Superstar Series from Worldwide Technology Raceway, and the green flag is mere moment away from falling on the field. Here we go. With the pace car already on pit road, Ben McDonald and J.D. Martin leading us to One-Up Superstar Series' first ever race in St. Louis, getting ready for the green flag. Into the zone we go. The green flag is out. We're underway in Gateway, and we've already got a handful of cars trying to make it 3, 4, 5 wide going into turn 1. Aaron Hall and Devin Fair making big moves into the first turn.
I think the big winner of that, at least for the moment, could very well be Hall. They're 4 wide here, and I did say when the tires are freshest that things can go nuts.
It looks like McDonald's clear for the lead, but behind him it's a Hornets Nest. They are 5 abreast going into turn 3. Complete lap number 1. Look at them fan out. Emma Kruger up against the wall. Joshua Michaels down on the bottom, and it looks like Kruger's going to lose out. She started 10th, going to fall to at least, started 8th I should say, and she's going to fall to well outside the top 15.
Yeah, that's no bueno for Emma, but she's good. She'll be able to rally back at some point. This is even more nuts than I was initially anticipating.
There's Aiden Davidson up on the high side trying to fend people off. But Ben McDonald's well clear of all the trouble. He's your leader by about 0.4 of a second over J.D. Martin. The first side-by-side battle is between Mashburn and Finguy. Then you go a little further back, you see Zachary DeLello trying to hang on to a spot in the top 10, but Michaels and Vargas doing battle for that spot now. It's been a fantastic start to this race. As you've seen, we saw 5 wide here at St. Louis. We didn't see that at all in the first 2 races.
It's a good thing we didn't see it at Daytona. 4 wide was bad enough. I can't imagine what 5 wide would have been like if they'd have tried that. But, McDonald, he and J.D. Martin, they're doing the smart thing. And then Jake McMillan behind them, they got clear as quick as they could. Mashburn as well. They got clear of that, so they don't have to worry for the moment.
And all 4 of them have had wretched starts to the season. None of them in the top 30 in points as things stand right now. So they all need good days to move up the order. Jeffrey Finguy in the auto owner's car this week doing a good job trying to hold off Sam Donato and Roberto Crown Jr., who's going to try and make it 3 wide going into turn 3. Nothing doing on this occasion.
Yeah, it's going to take some getting used to seeing Crown with, one, a different number, and two, a different manufacturer. It's good to see him having a good performance there in his new ride, and hope to see him be able to get to victory lane in that ride at least once this year.
But right now, Ben McDonald has led all 4 laps so far. It's very funny, actually. You have a Venta Motorsport car leading the race, and you have another one riding the caboose in 42nd. That just goes to show you how competitive this field is in the 1UP Superstar Series. Any one of these cars could have a shot to win it.
Absolutely is. It's going to be really interesting to see here, because you see J.D. Martin, he's not really gaining much on McDonald, but he could very well end up having a shot here as things go on.
And you see Martin experimenting with different lines. You'll see that top of the racetrack start to really run in once these guys put some rubber down on it. You'll see it really start to come in handy later on in this race. But Martin's doing the hard work early of trying to rubber in that groove. You see McMillan doing the same in the 21. But that might open the door for Mashburn to make a move for third. Not quite this lap, though.
Yeah, this is definitely looking pretty good here. You need all the actions behind these guys, but we might see something here soon, because here comes Donato on Mashburn.
And further back, you've got this pack of cars trying to make some gains. Ryan Soper in the 84, strong qualifying effort for the 84. Started this race in 14th. He now runs 12th, trying to get by Echo Evans Ross, and then join this 3 wide for 10th. But further up ahead, Vargas and Crown battle it out for the 7th spot. All these cars are running well enough to get top 10 finishes, but they can't all finish there.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about it. You got so many cars that can do so good and deserve, as we see more 4-wide racing back here. Get back to what I was saying. You see a lot of cars in these races that have the opportunity to get top 5s and top 10s, but they can't all get it every week.
No, and this is a bit of a surprise to see some cars back here like Zayden Davidson in this 4 car carrying the Scots colors for the first time this season. Patrick Smith's back here, Dylan Young as well. Bronson Minnick making his 2nd start of the season, his first filling in for Ricky Freeman Jr., who will be back next week at Circuit of the Americas. But a lot of cars here just trying to ride it out, including you see the silver and red 95 of Matt Johnson making his Superstar Series debut in this race. Just trying to log as many laps as he can. He's running with his teammate now, Sam Adoskin, just trying to just get a feel for these bigger, faster race cars and just have a clean first race.
And that's all you can ask for is to have that opportunity to run a clean first race. I would say, as someone who got his chance to have a clean first Superstar Series race himself, when you get that, you feel accomplished, even if you didn't have a very good result.
But back at the front of the field, we're watching this battle for 3rd position between McMillan, Mashburn, and Sam Donato. Donato tries the high line, trying to get around Mashburn in 4th. Martin's trying to work in that really high lane in 3 and 4. Nothing doing on that occasion, but he is able to keep in touch with Ben McDonald out front. The gap, well, he lost 3/10 on that lap, but he's the only one able to stay within a second of that wicked fast number 12 machine.
Yeah, that's all you can do right now is hope to stay within touch, and if something happens where the 12 happens to bobble, whether it's through a quick little bit of looseness or whatever the case may be, he needs to be ready to capitalize. Speaking of capitalizing, we might see Donato get an opportunity here.
I think that top groove is starting to kick in, because Mashburn was able to clear the 77 once again. And here's Joshua Michaels making the same move on Aaron Hall to put all 3 Robbers Racing cars solidly in the top 10. Michaels started this race in 13th. He's now up to 9th.
Yeah, and that's really good right there, because we've seen him have potential in different ways. We saw how he was doing at Daytona and how he raced there. But this is a whole different story. And you got a past champion right ahead of him that he's going to have to go for next, and we'll see how he handles that.
Michaels is far and away the best of the Robbers Racing cars in the standings right now. He's in the top 5 while Martin and Mashburn struggle to make the top 35. So obviously the two veteran drivers are performing a lot better in this race. They're running second and fourth, but we'll see how the rest of this race unfolds. We're only 12 laps in to a 60-lap race. A lot can happen between now and the checkered flag.
Absolutely. We've seen it time and time again. Just how much can happen in a single race. And I'm not talking about just the plate races either. I'm talking about throughout the whole schedule. You see a lot of action in some races, and other races, the best you can hope for is that you'll get a last lap pass for the win or something. And right now, I'd say we're looking at about a lap 15, 16, or maybe a little bit later pass for second.
Because McMillan is closing in on J.D. Martin. Remember, McDonald and McMillan used to be teammates. Now they are no longer, but they're still running at the front of the field just as they were a season ago. As Jeffrey Finguy makes a move on Sam Donato, put the 92, at least for the moment, up into the top 5.
Yeah, Finguy, well, he had a good run last week. He's looking for another good one this week. That, Donato's not gonna give it up to him that easy, because we've seen Donato fight for positions. We've seen him break hearts when it comes to taking victories. We
saw that last year at Auto Club. We saw it to an extent this year at Auto Club. So who knows what the 77 is going to be able to accomplish this season? Well, you'll have to watch the entire season to find out. But back at the front, the lead between McDonald and Martin now 1.7 seconds. McDonald's really starting to stretch his legs out in front. This is going to be the dominant car of the race unless something crazy happens, and you never know when that could happen.
That is absolutely correct. And you talked about him and McMillan being former teammates. They got the same numbers, but different teams, different manufacturers. But I'm sure they're still just as competitive around each other as ever. But right now, that's kind of hard to do when McMillan's way back there in third, fighting off Mashburn.
Yeah, McMillan 2.8 seconds off the lead with Miles Mashburn hot on his heels, trying to get that third spot away. The 72 has had some strong runs as of late, but has yet to get to victory lane in a long time. He had some good runs going at Auto Club and at Daytona, but got involved in a crash at the World Center of Racing. Had the pit on, and with a couple laps to go for fuel at Auto Club Speedway. He's mired deep in the points hole. He needs this good run.
Yeah, he's one of many who needs a good run, and we talked about the top 4 needing a good run. That's something we can continue to talk about until we're like a broken record. But right now, I am really happy with seeing how they're doing, and of course, Donato trying to play around with them a little bit here.
As Donato moves to the outside of Miles Mashburn to try and get that 4th spot. We've seen that outside line get some good runs out of the turns, but it looks like Mashburn's able to hold him off for now. Entering lap 19 now. We're closing in on the 1/3 distance in this race. We expect pit stops to happen around the halfway point, so these guys are going to try and stretch it out as long as they can, hope for a caution maybe. But we expect them to come in at around the halfway point to make sure they've got enough in the tank to make it to the end of this race. As well, tires seem to be not as big an issue here as they were at Auto Club, but they will be a factor if we get some long runs in.
Pardon me. Yeah, that's a perfect point, because tire fall off doesn't seem to be that bad, but we all know that whether they need tires or not, fuel is definitely going to be a concern around the halfway mark. And I couldn't help but notice that we got Joshua Michaels there. He's followed Christian Vargas up to 8th position, behind him Vargas in 7th.
The 6 car climbing its way up, but he is 6.3 seconds off the lead. We'll see what he can do to catch this quartet battling for 3rd, as Ben McDonald's lead has now grown to 2 seconds over J.D. Martin, although the 66 closed it by about 1/10 of a second on that run. Donato still trying his best to get around. Ooh, oh man, McMillan eating up that curbing on the inside. That might have been a last-ditch effort as a defense mechanism, because now they're 3 wide behind the 21.
Yeah, I couldn't help but notice McMillan getting a little sideways there, trying to hold off Mashburn. I thought he was going to go around for sure, but he hit the pretty wheel on it, and he's holding on. He don't care if it's not for the lead. He wants to hold on to this position.
So far, so good. McMillan keeps the position, and it looks like they've settled it out for the most part behind him. Donato's still trying to work hard around the 72 on the outside. I think he's going to be able to do it this time because Mashburn had a real shallow exit off of that corner. That could allow Finguy as well to make a move on the 72.
Yeah, it will allow him to make a move, whether he gets to complete or not, and that doesn't look like he's going to. Mashburn has recovered, and will hold on to the spot that he didn't get. He ended up falling to, I should say.
But Finguy's not giving up without a fight. He is pushing hard to try and get up into the top 5. We've passed the 1/3 distance. We're on lap 23 now, and this has been a strong run for Ben McDonald out front. His lead is still 1.8 seconds. No one's been able to really put a dent into that at the moment. But back here now, Christian Vargas and Joshua Michaels, like you said, they've been battling it out, and they're actually starting to gain a little time on Mashburn and Finguy, who has finally gotten past the 72.
And that little bit of battling, even as he was battling the past champion, Michaels and Vargas both were able to gain a little bit on both of these guys, and now the 6 is clear of the 54. Can he set sights on some of these other veterans up ahead of him?
Oh, we got one on pit road. Daniel Bouchard in the 73s had a bit of contact on the racetrack. You saw the skid marks in turns 1 and 2. We feel it might be from the 73s. Parked it in this pit stall. We hope he's able to get back out there, but that's a tough break for the 73, especially considering we did not get a caution for that incident.
Yeah, so because we didn't get a caution, we're not going to know what happened, but that's the unfortunate thing. But at the same time, at least it didn't involve anyone else.
Not that we know of, anyway. Bouchard currently 2 laps down in the 73. We'll see if he's able to get back out there. They're checking damage on that car. We'll see if he's able to get it back out. J.D. Martin holds the fastest lap, and it looks like he's actually starting to gain a little time on Ben McDonald. He's gained a couple hundredths on that lap. I would expect that to pick up a little bit now that the tires are all warmed up, and now that they're starting to wear. Well, I would expect the real contenders to get to the front as Finguy tries to move on Donato.
Yeah, Finguy's not satisfied. Nobody is satisfied with the position that they take unless they're up in the front and leading this thing and running away like McDonald is at the moment. But right now, it's looking like things are settled down a bit, but I would say keep an eye on Michaels back there. He seems to be gaining on these 4.
Yeah, that 6 car's been lightning fast all season long, and I would expect that to continue here at St. Louis. As Donato clears Finguy, is going to try and make a move on McMillan now for 3rd. McMillan's able to hold the position now. That Honda's got some real speed under it, and JHM Racing's already demonstrated their strength this weekend.
Oh, absolutely. And, well, I don't know if Donato will be able to do anything with McMillan. I mean, Mashburn couldn't. I don't think Finguy got to do much with him. Of course, he hasn't really been able to be up there to do much. But we'll see. That 77, always strong. And if he gets by the 21, I'd say Martin and McDonald might, keyword might, have a reason to be concerned.
You see the 77 all over the back bumper of McMillan, but he has to let off a little bit going through the turn here. And we saw on pit road them pushing the 73 behind the wall. Daniel Bouchard be the first retiree from this race on or around lap 22. That's a real shame for the Bouchard Genesis Engineering camp, but they'll rebound for sure next week at COTA, I hope.
Yeah, let's hope. But right now, there's still another car or two for them to work with. But meanwhile, when we look at J.D. Martin, he's been chipping away at this lead of McDonald.
He's gained a couple tenths over the last few laps, and especially now that we're approaching halfway in this race, I would expect McDonald to, I don't know, his tires seem to be holding up well, but I think JD's got a little bit more grip in that 66, and I believe he's got what it takes to close down on McDonald, as you see Bouchard listed as out of the race now. But I would expect Martin to close the gap. We'll see what it is now, but I would yeah, you can see it visually. The gap is closing.
Yeah, visually, but now officially, yeah, definitely. As we switch over, because Martin's still holding the fastest lap right now as we got those quick glances, but he is slowly closing in as we get to past the halfway point here.
So Ben McDonald will lock up the point for most laps led here. And look at Martin. He just closed in half a second on that last lap alone. He's been doing a great job at keeping in touch with Ben McDonald. I would expect him to take the lead of this race relatively quickly, but there's still a lot of racing to go, and we still got a pit stop cycle to make, as it looks like Devin Fair has already hit pit road from the top 10. We're looking for him now on the racetrack as we got a crash in 3 and 4.
Oh, yeah, right as we switch to those cars.
Yeah, Devin Fair was on pit road when the caution came out, and it looks like the leaders are coming in as the caution flag flies.
Oh, this is going to be interesting, and looks like McMillan from what I'm seeing from this camera angle as we were watching Fair. Yeah, he stayed out, so
yeah, McDonald pit under the caution. Martin came in with him, and so did Mashburn and Aaron Hall. If my calculations are correct, these 4 are going to be your leaders when this cycle's out.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because, they've already pit, but at the same time, they're not going to have the freshest tires, even though they're under caution.
But they were making their pit stops when the caution came out, so these stops are legal as long as they made it to the access road beforehand, which it looks like they will. Devin Fair will cycle back around. He should be up near the front as well. But here comes everybody else to the pit lane.
Yeah, but Millen's gonna be making a stop. Donato, Finn Guy, Michaels, like pretty much everybody else because that wasn't in the accident or didn't already pit. So let's see how this works out.
Yeah, I believe that your top 5 are going to be the cars. These cars here that's pitted as the caution was coming out. That was a huge break for them. They needed that caution to come out immediately or for it to cycle all the way through. And it looks like they got one of those options, as McMillan looks like he's going to win the race off pit road.
Yeah, but it looks like he's going to lose a couple spots if I'm understanding things correctly, because I saw Aaron Hall and Devin Fair also in there. They gained at least Hall gained spots from that.
Yep, but now we'll get you a replay of what happened to bring out this caution, the first of the day here at St. Louis, that took Samit Ozkan and Rashi Mahendra out of the race. You see Fair's already pitting when Ozkan goes through. He's trying to line up a move on the 86 of Spletzer, and then Rashi Mahendra turns in for the corner, and Ozkan just wasn't willing to give.
Yeah, just a matter of same space, too many people trying to go for it there.
It's a tough break because Samit Ozkan was having a great start to this season. He had a really good run at Auto Club last week, but this will be his second DNF in 3 races this season. Now, another look at this now from high above, and looks like Ozkan's got a big gap to work with on Mahendra, but he slows way down for the turn. Mahendra just didn't want to give up that momentum he had.
Yeah, and that cost both of them a finish that they were looking for. So this is going to be unfortunate for both of them.
So that knocks both those cars out of the race. We have 39 still running. They're all still on the lead lap. Keon Daly had an extended stay on pit road, as did Austin Runkle. So those 2 are going to be at the back. But yep, just as I expected, it's going to be Ben McDonald in the lead of this race once again. McMillan led 2 laps. That's going to deny McDonald a shot at the Grand Slam here today. But he's still got a good shot at winning this race, especially with 4 cars on the same strategy as him right behind.
Yeah, you got Martin, Mashburn, Hall, and Fair all right there. And Devin Fair, wouldn't you know, he would love to be able to take this opportunity and get up there, but that 12, that the only one who's been able to even come close was JD Martin as this pit cycle was beginning to approach.
Yeah, but I think that was because Martin was handling his tires better than McDonald. Now that they're all even again, I would expect McDonald to be able to pull away again. But as the lights are out on the pace car, we will have this next time by, we'll be going green again. It's going to be interesting to see if Miles Mashburn or J.D. Martin will be able to keep up with Ben McDonald on this run.
Oh, absolutely, because fresh tires, once again, we will have a perfect opportunity to see who can make moves and do what. And we're not starting side by side this time around, so it's gonna be interesting to see just how this plays out. Will they try to go 3-4 wide, or will they play it a little safer as they try to make their moves?
We're going to find out here momentarily, because the pace car making its way through 3 and 4, going to make the hard left turn onto pit road, and it's going to leave us in the hands of 3 Chevrolets out in the lead of this race. McDonald, Martin, Mashburn, they're all coming off of turn 4 right now, going to head into the restart zone, and we're going to get this race underway again with 25 laps to go.
And this is going to be interesting to see. You see they're starting to fan out with the green flag waving. And J.D. Martin, it looks like he is all over. Well, he is briefly all over the back of that 12. I do not think he's going to let McDonald get away this time.
And the big loser on this restart seems to be Jake McMillan in the 21. He's already lost a handful of spots. Down the backstretch they go, and it looks as though McDonald is going to get out in the lead of this race. But further back, we've got a big wreck again in 3 and 4. Crown upside down.
What in the world? How did that happen?
Nick Ortiz with a lot of damage. Ryan Soper was having such a strong run in the 84 machine. He was running just outside the top 10. Now he's going to be mired deep in the pack. Nick Ortiz going to be out of the race as a result of this crash. What in the world took place there? But we've seen this before. Cautions, they often breed cautions.
And that is always disaster for somebody. And we see right here, this disaster for Ortiz, disaster for, obviously, for Crown. I'm curious as to what the replays are going to show us when we get to them.
And I'm curious to see if this 84 will be able to maintain a competitive speed, because he got up into the outside wall pretty hard on that crash. Crown, I think, definitely took the worst impact of them all. He ended up on his roof, but Ortiz looks like he's definitely going to be out of this race. Soper stays on the racetrack, though. I think he's going to try and continue on with that damage.
And you think about it, with Crown and Ortiz out, that's a guarantee. That's 2 more spots that he won't have to worry about being anywhere close to last. So, something to think about for him, and get as many points as he can.
And he needs them, considering he missed the race in Auto Club last week. So he does need all these points. He was going to get a big chunk of points after finishing just outside the top 10, maybe even better. But now it's all for naught, and we'll get you a replay soon of what happened. So Soper and Crown were side by side. Crown was trying to make a move on McMillan. Oh, and Ortiz. This is the exact same story we saw in the first wreck, except now we have a lot more violent consequences.
Yeah, that's far worse than the first caution. Well, the first accident that brought out the first caution. That is just really, really horrible to think about. But thankfully, they're all okay as far as we know.
See him fanning out already. Like we said, we knew this was going to happen. Ortiz just tried to make a move on Crown. It wasn't going to work. And the 84 was just a bystander in this one.
Yeah, Soper was just riding along, and next thing he knew, he was being turned toward the wall, and his good day, well, we've already talked about it. It's done. He's not out of the race, but hopes of a maximum points possible day for him are over.
So he's going to restart this race in 37th. Ortiz and Crown both out of the race, and that's going to be a big blow to Roberto Crown Jr. He was running in the top 10 all day. Now he's got a wrecked race car and nothing to show for it. But hopefully these guys have learned from this rash of yellow flags that we need to get this race finished before we can collect points. And hopefully these guys are going to take it a lot calmer on this next restart.
One can only hope. And of course, one person who's not minding being under caution because he means he gets to keep the lead so long as nothing mechanical happens is Ben McDonald.
Absolutely, that's true. But you look at the 84, I'm curious if this car is going to be able to maintain competitive speed back there. One Up does have this rule now where if you can't, you might get pulled into the garage early out of the race. We can only hope that the 84 is able to continue and pick up as many positions as he possibly can. But the lights are out on the pace car now. We'll be going green next time they cross the line, hopefully for more than a lap.
Yeah, one can hope on that. I know I said one can hope on other things already, but this is going to be some interesting stuff here. So we're going to have 20 to go at the green, and the thing to keep an eye on, of course, that 84. But also, I'd say he may not be a major threat for the win. I may be wrong, but even on that 07, he was trying some stuff before that caution happened.
And remember how close he came to the win at California last time out. Aaron Hall is right on the verge of that first career win. Could it come today? He's going to have to clear some really good Chevys out in front to make that happen. But he's got a couple Toyotas behind him to make it happen. Well, let's see what happens for the rest of this race. As the pace car gets ready to pull off on the pit road, any moment now, there it goes. And now McDonald, 44th time in this race, can lead us back to green.
And you talk about Hall having two Toyotas behind him, one of them being his teammate. That might be even more beneficial, but it's all a matter of who can get by the 12, if anybody, as the green's in the air once again.
Here we go, off into turn one once again. They're already 3 wide going into 1, and Aaron Hall might be the big loser in this one, because Denoto, his teammate's going to try and make a move now on Fair in the middle. Emma Kruger in the 70 ducks out to the inside trying to make something happen in this race. And as we go off into turns 3 and 4, oh, that was close between a couple of these guys back here. They got it. Oh, when we got more cars into the wall. Keon Daly, Stephen Gale, Austin Ronco all into the wall together, but we're not seeing a caution for this incident.
That was really close to being another issue. Of course, major unfortunate for Ronco and Keon, but you know, they got to keep going, and Soper gets a few spots. It looks like he's not going to have to worry about being black flagged.
No, that's the good news. The bad news is he's still back in about 32nd place. So he needs to get a move on in these final 18 laps of this race if he's going to make something happen of it. But Mashburn now trying to make a move on Martin. As you see Sanders up into the outside wall off before, he's going to lose a handful of spots. As we come back into turn 1 once again, Sanders going to make a move trying to make something happen. They dive down to the bottom as we got another crash, and it's Christian Vargas.
What in the world happened to Vargas? And that crunch.
So caution flies once again here in Gateway for the 3rd time in this race. Looks as though as they race back to the yellow flag, Miles Mashburn is going to make the pass on J.D. Martin. Let's see what he can do on the restart that Martin could not. But that's a tough break for Christian Vargas. He was running really strong today as well.
Yeah, that's really tough. I mean, when you talk about good runs, we keep seeing good runs getting destroyed. It's a real heartbreaker when you have a good run, especially when you're someone trying to, make something of the season after a horrible start.
And I think we saw the culprit earlier in the shot, being the 39 of Echo Evans-Ross, as Vargas pulls out of the race on lap 44. And yes, Evans-Ross is pulling into the pit lane to assess her damage on the 39 car. This is another team that needs a good day after missing the Daytona 500, and I don't think she's going to get it today. We're going to see if she'll be able to continue on in this race, but that's a lot of damage for the Game Breaker Racing team to try and assess.
And we saw it before this accident happened. She was making some moves too, trying to have a good run, and see here, looks like they're going to try to fix it, so she'll try to salvage what she can once they get her back out there, it looks like.
Is it going to be same story, 3rd chapter here? It looks likely. Yeah, Ross just gets into the back of Christian Vargas and sends the 54 up into a heavy impact with the outside retaining wall. That could have been a lot worse, though, especially with how many cars were right behind her.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, and We've seen it already multiple times.
So coming off of 4, you see Sanders having his problem in the back. That seems to be unrelated. But Evans-Ross tries to make a move to the inside of Vargas, but she was already to his outside. And that doesn't work well. And we've seen that happen multiple times in this race. And here, it takes out a 2-time champion of the sport.
And I'm pretty sure he's going to have some words for Echo Evans-Ross at the end of this one. But, that's unfortunate that we've seen this happen 3 times, but at the same time, it could have been worse.
We still have a lot of good cars in contention to win this race, and we hope we'll be able to keep it clean and green the rest of the way. And look at all these challengers that have made their way close to the top 10 now. Zach Rogers up to 11th. Jeff Bolton's in 12th. Julio Cesar, last week's winner, is in 13th. So we got some new challengers near the front. And, well, who knows what the rest of this race is going to look like. We're into the final quarter now, and I hope the lights go out on the pace car this time, because I want to see as much green flag racing to finish this race as we can.
Oh, I would love that as well, because, honestly, it would be great to be able to do this, to get this finished with nothing but green flag racing.
So the lights are out on the pace car. We will be going green. With 13 laps to go in this race, whether that's a lucky or unlucky omen is what we're about to find out. But Ben McDonald holds the lead of this race after a flurry of yellow flags to slow the action down 3 times in this race. Miles Mashburn currently runs in 2nd, J.D. Martin 3rd, Aaron Hall, Devin Fair complete the top 5. Then it's Joshua Michaels 6th, Sam Donotto fell back to 7th, Jeffrey Finguy 8th, Jake McMillan 9th, and Emma Kruger completes the top 10, just ahead of Zach Rogers. Martin still holds the fastest lap, and I would expect him to keep that for the rest of the race, considering how old these tires are by now.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to watch, especially now that you got a new challenger for McDonald up here. I mean, Mashburn was up there toward the front at the beginning, but that was he had his teammate up there trying to get to McDonald, and now let's see what Miles can do when the green flag waves.
So coming through 3 and 4, the pace car getting ready to pull on the pit road and leaves us in the hands of Ben McDonald to continue this race. McDonald has led all but 2 laps in this race. Let's see if he can continue that momentum. Pace car's off. We're getting ready for our 4th restart of the race. Let's see if it'll work out for the 12 or if one of the robbers' cars can capitalize. The green flag back in the air now.
Green flag back in the air. They're starting to scatter just a little bit. You see Donotto trying to make a move back there. Mashburn and Martin not letting McDonald get too far ahead, but I think that 12 is just way too strong for everybody.
Coming down the back straightaway, you see him start to fan out once again down the back straightaway. Donotto making a move on the 92, or is it the other way around as they dive it off into turn 3? Finguy trying the high line, looking further back to see if there's any more trouble. It looks like we're going to stay clear and green, at least on this lap. But look at the front 5 single file. That's actually front half dozen now. All single file, trying to chase down Ben McDonald, who's been untouchable so far.
Yeah, you see, you talk about the top half dozen. Finishing out that half dozen is Joshua Michaels. He's been right up here hanging good, not too far away from his teammates. And wouldn't it be something if he could get up there and they could all 3 get by McDonald for robbers 1, 2, 3?
Absolutely, and we're just keeping an eye out now to see what the robbers teammates can do here as McDonald tries to fend off 2 cars at the same time. We'll see if it works going into turn 1. Miles Mashburn doing his best to wrestle the lead from the 12 machine, but I don't think it's going to be able to hold off for much longer. Here they're coming down the back straightaway. McDonald's trying to pull a bit bigger lead, but Mashburn refusing to let this one go.
Not just Mashburn, but Martin. These two, they're trying to do a little bit of bump drafting here, just on a short track, trying to do something about that 12. But McDonald is just so strong.
We'll see what the lead is at the line. 0.3 of a second as we hit 10 laps to go in this race. And look at the mayhem back here, trying to gain as many positions as possible before the end of this race. James Silverfox on the outside trying to make a move on Ryan Sober, who, remember, has damage. But Now, McDonald's just trying to pull out as big a lead as he possibly can before the end of this race, because he hasn't had to contend with the 72 yet, and we don't know how strong that Zaxby Chevrolet is going to be.
And then you got back here, battle between two Toyotas. You got Aaron Hall and Devin Fair, but looks like that's going to settle out for the moment, as you see Joshua Michaels ever present in this top 10 ever since he got up in there.
And a new name has graced the top 10, Julio Caesar, for the second week in a row. Could he try and steal a good result out of this after the misfortune of others? But McDonald trying to hang on to the lead at the moment. Mashburn's trying to close in a big way at the end of this race. We'll see what the margin is at the line. And it looks as though Mashburn has closed the gap. He has by about 1/10 of a second.
And he is right there. I guess, and JD Martin's starting to fall back. He's realized that there's nothing forward for him, at least at this moment. So he's just going to let Mashburn, the boss man, go for it.
Coming to the end of this race, Martin and Hall go way up the racetrack in 3 and 4. That's not searching for different lines. Their car is getting extremely uncomfortable in the wake of the other two. But we're now coming to 7 laps to go in this race.
There we go.
Here comes Mashburn to the inside of McDonald. Could we see our first real lead change of the race?
It's looking like it, but that high side's still holding on. But Mashburn isn't gonna let McDonald go. He's got the chance. He's going to make an effort, and nothing for it this time. But he's still got a few laps to make another go.
And that showed a sign of weakness in the 12, something we have not seen all race long. That proved that it is possible to topple this 12 car, who's been out in the lead for all but 2 laps in this race. 6 laps to go at the line. We'll see what happens now, as Mashburn's just within 2/10 of a second of the lead.
And he's trying to close the gap once again. You see Martin and Hall back there settling things out. For a second, I thought Joshua Michaels, who has gotten into the top 5 now, was going to try to do something there with those two, but that's settled out. I think the main focus is going to be right here, which, it ought to be on these closing laps.
Coming to 5 laps to go, has Mashburn used his stuff up, or does he have one more shot at it in these remaining 5 laps? We'll find out, but he did lose some time on that previous lap. He lost about 1/10 and a half to Ben McDonald. He's still within striking distance as the battle for third rages on, but I gotta think Mashburn's got to be using his stuff wisely here. If there's anything left in the tank, he's got to go for it now.
Yeah, he's losing time and distance because he's well over a second and a half now behind the leaders, and it's looking like it's going to be between these two here. Which I don't think that's going to be a big complaint for McDonald. Just one person to hold off is better than a whole dozen of them.
And now Ben McDonald has the entire Robbers Racing fleet behind him as Joshua Michaels gets past Aaron Hall to move up into 4th place. So now McDonald's got to fend off all of the Robbers Racing squadron to try and hold on to win this race as we come to 3 laps to go now.
The only way it's going to get worse for him is if something were to happen that he were to hold Mashburn up and both of them were to fall into the clutches of the 66 and the 6. But right now it looks like Miles might be backing off to try to make another go at it here.
Either that or he used his stuff up trying to get by the 12. Either way, he's running out of time because now we have 2.5 laps to go. Only a handful of braking zones left to try and make a move on the 12 car, who's been so dominant in this race. It's really incredible. But you see Mashburn, he's trying different lines now to try and get some clean air on the nose of that 72, but McDonald's not letting that happen.
McDonald has dominated this race. He doesn't want his domination to be for nothing. As we come down 2 laps to go, it looks like it's all said and done, but you never count it over until the checkered flag waves.
And we're about a lap and a half from making that happen. As McDonald now powers down the back straightaway, coming to the white flag. That's what he wants to see, because then he'll know the next flag will end the race. But you see it back there. Joshua Michaels made a move on his teammate Martin to move up into the podium places in that 6 car, but it'll be too little too late for him. As Ben McDonald takes the white flag, we've got 1 lap to go.
That last lap, all he needs is to mind his own as we see some cars coming to pit road here.
Yeah, Duke Ansack and Zachary Fitzwater both having problems in the late stages. They'll both fall off the lead lap as a result. But looks like everybody else is staying on the racetrack for the moment. Down the back straightaway for the final time, Ben McDonald has dominated this race. He's led 58 of the 60 laps of this race. He's going to lead lap 58 here today. And coming off of turn 4 for the final time, Ben McDonald, after a wretched start, he only had 7 points to his name before this race. He wins it at Gateway.
And Miles Bashburn second. He needed that run. And Joshua Michaels continuing a good streak here. That's and Aaron Hall backing up at what his almost win last week. That's truly special for some of these drivers, especially them.
Yeah, J.D. Martin falls back to 5th, but that's still all 3 Robbers Racing cars in the top 5. A great run for that team. Devin Fair brings it home 6th after what could have been at Auto Club. Sam Denoto 7th. Jeffrey Finguy brings it home at 8th. Julio Caesar gets his 2nd top 10 of the season and only his 3rd career start. And Jake McMillan brings it home just inside the top 10 in front of Emma Kruger in 11th. But we had it all, didn't we? We had a lot of wrecks in the midpoint of this race. We had some great 3 and 4, maybe sometimes even 5 wide racing action. That is what we want to see here in St. Louis, and that has made a case for this place to return for 2025.
Oh, I absolutely have to agree, and I'm sure Ben McDonald won't complain. He'd love to come back and have a chance to defend his win here.
Absolutely. That is something that McDonald is going to lobby for hard, especially considering the start he had to this season, which is now a lot better with this win here today. But with that, we end things off in St. Louis, and next time the 1UP Superstar Series takes to the track, it'll be at another new venue, the first road course race of the season in Austin, Texas, at Circuit of the Americas, a beautiful location for a race, and we hope to see you guys then for 1UP to make some lefts and rights down in Austin. So, from James Ellison and from myself as well, we say goodbye from St. Louis. We'll see you again in Austin next week. But congratulations to Ben McDonald. He really turns this season around with a win. We can only hope his momentum will continue to build as the race and the regular season continues to unfold.